are there for executing the background task infrastructure maps the trigger with the class, and the class executes the background task. I hope this is making sense. Moving forward, we will take a look at writing the background tasks. So basic fundamental about writing the background task is that you can write the background task in any of the Windows runtime language, C#, C++, JavaScript, BV, any of these languages. In fact, it's highly recommended that you decouple the background task with your applications, which means that if your application is written in other language and your background task is written in other language, it's not dependent on each other. For example, the mail application which is there in Windows, the mail application is written in JavaScript, but the background task for the mail application is written in C++. So the point here is you can author the background task in any of the Windows runtime languages. It should be manifested, which means that in your app manifest file in your Visual Studio, it should be mentioned. If you are implementing a background task, it should be mentioned there in the declaration tab. Also, it should be mentioned which trigger you're using, what is the entry point. If you do that, what happens is when you submit your application for store certification, the team knows that okay, this is the application which is implementing the background task. They will test this application a little differently, and they will be aware that okay, this application is using this trigger, and they can do the proper testing for that application. App must run to register background task. They can have one trigger or 0 or more conditions. So apps can have exactly one trigger that we've seen, the triggers we have seen, and 0 or more conditions. These conditions are nothing but the conditions you require for execution, like user should be away or internet should be available, etc. If you have more than 0 or more than one conditions, all these conditions needs to be fulfilled for background task to execute. Finally, all background task registrations are persistent, which means that all background task registrations are persistent. This means that, here's an example for that. If there's an application which is required to execute a background task after one hour, and at 20-minute timestamp the system reboots, and then at 21 timestamp the system reboots, and the application is not launched or suspended at this point of time. When the time reaches 60, since the background task was already registered with the background task infrastructure, the background task will execute. This is the power of persistent application, persistent storage, that you don't have to register the task again. You don't have to register background task again with the background task infrastructure. And even if the application is not launched or is not suspended, the background task will execute. There's another side to it, which is that if next time your application is launched and you are trying to register the background task again, it's a good idea to check if the application is previously registered or not. If it is previously registered with the background task infrastructure, you can delete it and then re-register it. So this is about background tasks and the languages you can use and the declaration that you have to do in the manifest, and how you can have only exactly one trigger, 0 or more conditions, and how the background task registrations are persistent. Let's look at this slide which has some code on it. If you can see the first line in the method, which is background task builder. So this class is a builder object which asks for the name, the class name, the trigger, and the entry point, and the conditions. Also, there is task.progress and task.completed handler. So in case you want to show the progress of the background task which is happening, you can do so by using task.progress handler. And if you want to notify the user after the background task is completed, you can do so by using the task completed handler. So this is how you register for a background task. Next, this slide talks about how background tasks run our implementations. So, well, all of these sample codes are available on the MSDN, so there's nothing to worry about that. But there is just one thing I would like to get your attention on, which is task instance.cancelled or new background task cancelled event handler. If your background task does not have the cancelled event handler, it's not a good idea not to have it. It's always better if you have a cancelled event handler, because what happens is sometimes if your application which is running in the background is overshooting its resource quota. I've mentioned before that each background task has its own resource quota available. So if a background task is overshooting its resource quota, or there are some situation which requires the system to cancel the background task which is running, your application should be able to handle this cancel. If you don't do that, the application gets terminated by itself, which is not a very good scenario. So always remember to implement the cancel event handler in your background task run implementation. This is this slide. This slide shows you the app manifest, where you can see that a background task is added in the supported declaration, and entry point is marked, and the system triggered or the task type is marked. This is just to show you that this is how the app. This is what you will have to do with the. This is what you have to do in the manifest. You can choose background tasks from the available declaration, pick up the supported task type, and mention the entry point. Now, there are a lot of developers who says that I'm doing everything right, I've got everything, I've written the code correctly. Still, I'm facing some problem and the background task is just not working. For that, we are providing debugging background task methods. There's a background task event viewer which can give you all the information about your background task, like what are the resources it is using and when it is starting, when it is terminating. Lot of information, all the information that you want is available in the background task event viewer. So you can go take a look at that. Along with that, in 8.1, there are PowerShell commandlets which are provided. You can run these commandlets and get all the information you want for your background task. So these are the two methods we've given for debugging of the background task. Go ahead and try these when you are playing with background tasks at home tonight, if it gets you excited enough. So debugging is not a problem now. If you have any confusion regarding debugging, you can either use background task event viewer, or you can use the PowerShell commandlets. This slide, this slide talks about the common gotchas. You can read it by yourself. It is available in the MSDN, but I would like to mention point number 3, which is forgetting to call the close in JavaScript. If there is no close in your background task task will keep on running. And like I told you, not using the battery power unnecessarily is the whole reason why background tasks are there, the suspend and resume are there. So it's always good to put a close at the end of your background task in JavaScript. This, by the way, is a WAC test failure in 8.1. So make sure when you're writing your background task, you do not forget to mention the close at the end. Apart from that, all the other common gotchas which I mentioned, like output type of the class library is not Windows runtime component. Yes, this is another one. You have to write the output type of the class library. If it's not Windows runtime component, then you will not get the desired result. Background task entry point is not accurately described in the manifest. Make sure you do describe the background task entry point properly. App not on the lock screen, and hence background task is not triggered. Not using Visual Studio to trigger and test your background tasks. So these are some common gotchas which people make. So try to avoid these in order to get the desirable result. Moving on, connected standby. Connected standby is another state which means low on power and low on network, which means that CPU at this point is the lowest on the power. So only way to run code in the connected standby mode is through background tasks, because everything else is not allowed to run since the CPU power is low on power. When you're trying to run code in this connected standby mode, the system is taken out of the low power mode. If your code requires some network connectivity, the network is taken out of low power mode, and then you can run your application. So you can basically get the real-time emails or VoIP calls in this connected standby mode. If you want to understand what background tasks are running and how much are they, what is the list, what are the active background tasks in the connected standby mode, there's a utility in System32 which is powerconfig.exe/sleep study. You can go there and you can check out the list of active background tasks in the connected standby mode. Here is HTML, which is what you will see when you put this command powerconfig.exe/sleep study, and you can see the task entry point, and you can see the active time and everything. So all these details are available for you to see and understand what is the active list of background tasks in the connected standby mode. Power comes with responsibility. So since there's a lot of here we'll talk about, we've seen few things from our telemetry, which is these lessons are collected over on the user machines. We've seen that developers forget to use internet available condition. So network is lazy, causing long wait periods. So what happens is, let's say your background tasks requires you to fetch some data and requires you to have internet connection available. In the connected standby mode, since your background task is going to run, the system will be taken out of the low power mode. But since you forgot to use internet available condition, the network will not be taken out of the low power mode. So low network mode. So what happens is, the background task or the code will keep on waiting because there's no internet connection available, and system is already out of the low power mode, so a lot of battery consumption is happening with no proper result. So hence a system, we have something called idle task detection, which happens. So if the background task is ideally waiting with no proper output because developers forgot to use internet available or some other condition, we try to cancel them, and your app catches the cancel event handler and then properly unbind from your background task. However, there's another gotcha here, that the developer forget to add a cancellation handler. Remember, I told you that this is a common gotcha, that put close and put a cancellation handler. So if developers forget to add the cancellation handler, then the app will unbind without, it might unbind improperly, it might corrupt some data. So two things: first, don't forget to give the proper conditions to run for your background task. Second, always mention the cancellation handler. Never forget to put the cancellation handler, because there may be scenarios which